For the last few years, it feels like there's been so much blabber about whether or not gaming is dead. Whether it's the time it takes to produce games now, the way they're monetized, or the content of the games themselves, it feels like there's a small minority of people talking about how everything's gone bad as of late. Today, I'm here to say why I, while empathize with it, overall disagree with this statement. As for me personally, I'd say I've had three major hobbies throughout my life: gaming, Japanese, and consuming/producing music. And as someone that's slowly rotting and dying, I can without a doubt tell you that you do not just magically grow out of things as you age. If anything, I'd say my love and appreciation for the things I enjoy has only grown as I've aged. The only real things that change from childhood to adulthood with video games are two key aspects. One, having to pay for what you play, which in a way can honestly make gaming more fun for me. And two, things might not feel as fresh or new to you. I see all these sad, sappy videos online where these guys in their early 20s talk about how they're too old so nothing hits the same anymore, so they feel nothing while gaming. First off, if you are feeling nothing, then you might have some deeper issues, so maybe go get that checked out. But second off, what are you playing? Are you still playing Call of Duty, 2K, and Overwatch after 10 plus years? No shit you're gonna get bored of gaming. If you're on your 5th straight year of Valorant every day, trying to eat Vietnamese girls with bipolar disorder, getting mad and rage quitting day in and day out, of course you're gonna feel numb to it. There are so many new, incredible experiences out there, and so many people are just completely blind to them. This doesn't go for all gamers, but it feels like so many people forget that this is an art form, a form of media where you can sink your teeth into and play something you're gonna love for the rest of your life. If gaming is something you just do to kill time, or feed an insecurity through competitive, or turn your brain off completely, you are going to hate it. But if you go out there, try something that you've never experienced before, and bond with new characters, music, visuals, and gameplay, you can find love in not just gaming, but all things in life. I personally went through a phase for a few years where I stopped playing games outside of Fortnite, Valorant, and Overwatch, and Jesus Christ was I miserable. Not only were none of these games ever fun for me, I completely lost out on so many years of great things, and it felt like I lost a part of my identity along with it. Now, I'm not saying you're gonna go through a full-blown identity crisis if you stop playing video games. I'm just saying it's important to keep an open mind and to remember to keep your circle of games growing and changing if you're able to. If you're finding gaming and the cycle of multiplayer games, or hell, even single-player games, tedious, try some new shit. You never know what you might find out there, new or old. Jesus Christ. Let's make fun of incels? There are these sad sacks of meat and bones on the internet who, while a small amount of people, are such a loud minority. I'm of course talking about the people who call anything that doesn't immediately appeal to them woke. They're talking about
women and gay people.
How dare these ugly, woke, realistic, gay pronouns women exist in my video games? Recently on the Holy Land, Twitter, there has been a massive controversy regarding the protagonist of the new Ghost of Yotei game. Literally for weeks before the game's release, there was a huge outcry saying that not only was the main character woke because she wasn't pretty enough for them, but that they were going to boycott the game because the actress for the character was queer and a Democrat. You know, the classic, I hate snowflakes, but your opinion is different than mine and I don't want to have sex with you, so I'm boycotting the game. My favorite part of this is the made for gamers versus made for activists image, and you know, the responses to that have been pretty funny. Obviously this is really childish and annoying, but what sucks even more is that this is by no means new. The first time I remember this happening was when The Last of Us 2 came out and everyone got mad about Abby, again, not being sexy enough for them. And ever since then, pretty much every game, TV show, or movie that isn't just for them is immediately flamed. It's okay for things not to be made to be attractive. It's okay for things to be made to be attractive. It's okay for things to be targeted at everyone or just some people. What's not okay is spreading hate just because something isn't made with you in mind. I agree, sometimes it feels like things are made as a product trying to check off boxes rather than an actual piece of art, but this is 99% of the time not the case. Part of what made games like Street Fighter or Overwatch so cool was all the diversity. There were all these awesome characters from all over the world with their own unique designs and personalities, and it was never seen as a problem. But now all of a sudden it's woke and forced if any other game does it. All because these fucking losers don't actually play the games they complain about. Please, Connor from Nebraska, if you can still listen to Kanye, you can play a game made by a lesbian. Pricing. Oh, this has always been a risky topic. The world's economic state is quite literally the best it has ever been. So everyone can 100% afford to buy as many games as they want, and therefore this isn't important to talk about. The main problems with modern pricing have been console prices, the breakthrough past the $60 average, and the introduction of subscription-based gaming. First off, let's talk about base prices. AAA games, outside of Nintendo, have been roughly $60 since the start of the 7th generation when the Xbox 360 released. Considering $70 games have trickled in since around 2020, you could say it's been about 15 to 20 years of $60 games, and things have just recently changed, with only a few series partaking in the switch. Let's do some math. If you translate Final Fantasy VII's $50 in 1997 to now, it would be almost exactly $100. So only a $10 to $20 increase in 28 years, even though it should be doubled, that's weirdly kind of okay. I do dislike paying more because, well, paying more money means losing more money, you know what I mean? But if Team Cherry can make Silk Song for $25 after almost 10 years of development and still make a massive profit, so can these multi-billion-dollar corporations. You know, it sucks, but that's the way business works. So my main issues with price increases come less from the prices themselves and more from the shitty business practices surrounding them. Battle passes, loot boxes, item shops, weapon skins. This shit's okay when you're a free-to-play game that needs to turn a profit somehow, but when you are a massive multi-billion-dollar franchise which sells every year for $70, that is fucked up. I hate this stuff, and I can see why people would think this, of all things, could kill gaming, but I still disagree. Is it scummy? Yes. Extremely. These companies are literally turning children into gambling addicts and still charging full price for a game that hasn't changed in 20 years. These games make so much cheddar just based off limited time deals and overpowered abilities that they sell for just insane prices, man. If you are locking content behind a paywall that should have already been in the game by default, you are evil. But Mom, I need my limitless Steph Curry card. You're 30. But you young heads need to remember, back in my day, 25 years before I was born, video games were mostly played through arcade cabinets. This shit is not new. And unlike now, this was not just the scummy big franchises. This was every game in existence. These games would be designed purposefully to tease you with difficulty and have you put in another quarter, which is actually $1. Want to play at the arcade? Congratulations, you just got gypped out of $60 to play Pac-Man and not even own it. Not only were these games 100% addiction fueled and overpriced like the games of today, they were also complete bullshit. Every fighting game gave the boss straight up cheats so the player would die and lose money. Donkey Kong and Pac-Man straight up just end at a certain point so you can't play anymore. Dragon's Lair was fucking Dragon's Lair. Am I saying arcade games excuse the practices of today? Hell no. What I'm saying is that the shitty business practices don't make gaming dead, because by that logic, gaming would have never even existed in the first place. This practice, known as being fucking evil and abusing children, would later be reborn as the microtransaction. And as for the console prices, I don't even have the will to argue about this, man. Not only have the prices somehow increased for these consoles near the end of their lives, they never actually put any games on them to begin with. Long story short, I will not have people that spend $1,000 a month on FIFA loot crates tell me a Switch isn't worth $500. Okay, this is something I actually kind of agree with. For as long as time permits us to remember, video games released like that. However, now they release like that. Things used to release back to back to back to back, but sadly due to game development taking longer, things just aren't released the same anymore. And while it's very much a case-by-case basis, I do have a question. Is this truly worth waiting this much more time for? GTA 6 is taking 13 years. Mario Kart World took 2 console generations and 10 years to release. Deltarune is also going to take 10 years. We used to live in a time where Final Fantasy 7 to 10 came out in half the time it took to make 16. This trend of games taking forever not only makes people lose interest in your product, but makes games heartbreaking if they aren't worth that time in the end. And for me personally, I have never once been like, I'm glad this took so long to develop. If anything, it could be argued that games that take less time are more satisfying on release, since you didn't have to wait so long. If it takes 3 years to make a game that's a solid, fun title, people won't bat an eye most of the time. But if you take a near decade to produce a game that's just an teensy bit better, all the while completely ruining the flow of game releases and creating false hype, that's just disappointing. The last thing I want is for beloved game series to be reduced to yearly slop like Call of Duty or sports games, but I think there's a part of that development cycle which can be seen as a positive. Would you rather wait 10 years for a great game or 2 to 5 years for a also great game? I don't care if everything has to look like a PS2 game or the water doesn't look shiny or whatever. That stuff's fine, but most of the time, I'm just here to play a damn video game. I can totally see why this kind of stuff makes people lose interest in gaming, but do I think it makes gaming dead? No, but it does kill Mario. Even with stunted game releases and bad business practices, it's still the most profitable form of entertainment in the world, so it's kind of the opposite of dead, even if we don't like where it's going. So overall, do I think gaming is dead? No, dude, obviously. You saw the title of the video.